Hi there, Jamie Keat here today at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to look at a beginner's tutorial on Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to go through this tutorial and show you just some basic layouts, some terminology, how to input your data, how to format your data, how to work with functions, how to work with formulas, how to work with charts, and how to do some printing at the end. So there's lots packed in here. I'm going to throw in some tips for you too, so that when you're done this, that you feel comfortable maybe advancing your levels to the next one. I'll put out some other videos about Microsoft Excel to help with that process too. But if you're looking for any parts of this video, just look down below in the description and I'm going to timestamp everything so you can just jump to that part if there's something specifically you're looking up. Remember, I do these weekly tech tips, and if you're looking for other Microsoft products or any other tech products, just hit that subscribe button and hit that little notification so when my new videos come out, you'll get notified right away. So today, let's start on this Microsoft Excel beginners tutorial. I'm just going to go ahead and open up my Microsoft Excel here. I just have it on my taskbar. So when I open this up, just something to know, I am using Windows 10 and Microsoft 2016, but if you're using other versions, this beginner's tutorial will match quite closely to a large percentage of it. So just some first things, as you open up your Microsoft Excel, you can see I might have or you might have some recent files if you have opened up things before. These are just going to go in order of how old they are from top to bottom, but if there's something important that you want, or there's a worksheet that you want all the time and to stay on the top, just notice this little pin here, and if you click the pin, it just will be at the pin to the top, so you can quickly find what you're looking for, or you can unpin it and put it back in the order. So another thing is we have all these great templates here. I'm a big fan of templates. Once you know kind of what you're doing in this tutorial that I'm doing today will help you maybe get to that step where you can save a lot of time making some professional looking workbooks just from using the templates and modifying them somewhat. But there's lots of templates to choose from, for homework or school use right through here, or you can even search online here. But the best way to learn first is starting from a blank workbook, what I'm going to open up, and just understanding the basics of it. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a blank workbook here. And when it opens up, you should get a view similar to this, or maybe if you're in a little different version, it might be slightly different. And if you look around, and now this is similar to other Microsoft products too, but across the top, we have all these tabs. And so whether you're on Word or Excel or PowerPoint, we have tabs across the top that you can click on to see something underneath them. And that thing underneath them is called the ribbon. So if I go to my home one, which tends to be kind of one of the ones that you're on lots, you can see this is the ribbon through here. So in the ribbon you have groups, you can see here. So this group right here would be my font group. This is my alignment group through here. The different groups are named. So we go from our tab to our ribbon to our group. And sometimes what shows up here, there's not enough room. So you can see that there's this little button here to push. If I click this, you'll even get some more options on this. So that's just kind of your basic walkthrough. If you've used other Microsoft products, this will be familiar, but those are just some of the terminologies to start with. We have our tabs, and then our ribbon, and then our groups. So Microsoft Excel, you can see, so what we have in Microsoft Excel, we have, if I just click on the letter C, this is a column. And then if I click here on the number 4, this is a row. And now you're not going to run out of these columns or rows. There's so many, I can't remember the exact number. But if you can keep scrolling and put a tremendous amount of data into this here. Now, an individual spot is called a cell. So where the two places meet, so where this row 3 and C meet right here, this is called a cell. Whatever cell I click on, notice it will show up here in the top left-hand corner here. So as I click on different ones, we have F6, you can see, and I click on, and C7. If I grab a bunch of cells, that's called a range on it. So a range is going to be a group of cells all together. And that's all these things you're going to be using as you learn more Microsoft Excel, because you're going to be taking the data from whether it be a cell or a range, and then trying to apply formulas and functions to it. So inside this one, range would go from, in this case, you can see the top left-hand corner, which would be C4, all the way down to K17, and that would represent that range from there. Now, when I click on each cell, right now all these cells are empty. So if I click on a cell, whatever you see in a cell is going to be right up top here. So you can see it's empty here. So if I write something right here, so if I just write something up here, it will go into that cell. And if I click on the cell, it will show me exactly what's in there. So you can always check to see what's in the cell. You can write up, when you're on a cell, you can write something up here, or you can write in the cell here. And if I write something else, you can see it just goes right in here. So a couple other things to talk about just before we get started inputting our data is, so this whole thing is called a workbook that you're going to be working in here. So when I open it up, I open up a workbook, but within the workbook, you have worksheets, and you can see down at the very bottom here, we're on sheet 1. You can add more sheets here. You can see I can just click new sheet, and as I click new sheets, now I have sheet 2. I can click again, sheet 3, and I can rename these sheets just by double clicking on them and calling them something else. So if I just wanted, if this was going to be an example of, I'll just write data, and you can see I can name each of these, and I actually can drag these around in different orders if I wanted to change them around too. So that's just some terminology to start off. It's important to know that just as you read through and add more things, because you're going to see when they talk about cells or ranges in the worksheets, when we start talking about different things with formulas and functions later on in this video. So let's get started with entering in some data, and then we can get going on formatting that too. Okay, so it's time to start entering some data now. The one thing I'm going to do before is make it larger so I can see things a little bit better, and then you'll be able to see things a little bit better. So how I'm going to do this, you can go to view up top right here, and when you click on it, you can see you have zoom options where you can zoom up, and when I hit OK, it gets larger. The other thing you can do at the bottom right hand corner, there's this little slider with a zoom. You can see how I can adjust it very quickly too, like that. So I'm going to go back to my home, and now this will just make it a little easier to work with. So I'm going to be entering the data I'm going to be using and manipulating today is going to be the top 10 grossing movies of all time. So I'm just going to enter some titles and then just do some formatting, show you some basic formattings on text. So I'm going to write this in. So we're going to start with rank, and then we're going to have our title, and then we're going to have our studio name, who made it, and then we'll have our worldwide grossing income, and then we'll have our domestic, and then we're going to have our overseas, and one more, we're going to have year. So I just quickly typed in. And what I was doing was tabbing over each time too when I was done a certain cell. So here's how you move around. You can click, I can click in any cell to move around, but what I tend to do when I'm typing, I'll tab, and if I hit tab, it moves to the right. If I hold shift down, when I tab, it moves to the left. If I ever hit enter, it will move down. If I hold shift down and hit enter, it will move back up. You can also use the arrows. Sometimes I'll use the arrows, and you can just arrow your way around your worksheet too. So I have these titles here, and you can see everything kind of fit in across the top here because the words weren't too long. Worldwide is getting a little squishy in here. At any time, if you do need some extra room, if you hover right around, you can see right in the middle, when you get this handle, you can stretch out your different columns, or you can stretch out different rows. But the one thing is not to worry about if it's overlapping. It's not really messing up anything. So for instance, if I'm just going to write some, I'll say studios in the I'll say in the US. So notice that right now it looks like it's going into D. So if I click out of it, it stops right here. And if I click into it, it didn't mess up this cell at all. You know, even though you can't see it at all, that doesn't mean it's messed up. So what you can do is, this is where you can stretch out your cell like this. If you ever want to make a change, remember, just use the back arrow or Control Z and you'll go back. The other thing you can do, if you just double click between those, it will just fix it for you too, even without dragging. So those are just a couple options that you can do to quickly make those adjustments. And remember, on the side, you can get that handle on the same thing, so you can adjust those too. So if we're formatting, maybe you want to make it look nicer, you can quickly change. If I click on a single cell, and if I was going to write something now, so maybe I wanted to add something to the rank and I click on it once, it will just disappear. Now the reason, if you want to format inside that cell, and maybe I want it ranking, you have to double click in it and then I could add it. That would be one way. Another way is if I click once, I can just go up top here and type it in up in this spot too. So just know that if you click on it once and try to write something in it, it's going to delete it on it. You need to double click on it or go right up top here. So I'll just undo those ones. And so the next thing, what we're going to do is just some basic formatting. You can see this works like Microsoft Word if you've used that before. So if I click on it, you can see I can quickly change my text on it. I can change the size. Notice how it's disappearing right away. So maybe double click here and it instantly changes to this. Double click here and it fixes it for me too. If I wanted to change the whole row at once, I can click on it and now I can go back and adjust. Maybe I wanted that smaller. If I wanted it bold, and maybe I wanted a different color like blue on it. You can see now that I've made it bigger, things aren't quite fitting in the right places, so then I need to adjust those columns. And remember, it won't affect the formulas or anything. This is just how it looks, so we can fix it. So again, if I double click on it, you can see how I can instantly fix these very, very quickly on it. So those are just some formatting things to make it look nice. It doesn't change or doesn't wreck anything to have them overlapping, but to visually look at it, it's just a quick thing to do. So I'm just going to hit bold. Let's bold all these. I'm going to double click on here and I'm just going to call this Studio. And I don't want it that large. I'll just double click on it. So now we have our titles. The other thing you can do is you can add, so you can just, you can select by dragging across. You can add borders to different things too. So you can see through here, I could add borders between each of them. If I wanted a border around it, just click in here and you can kind of go through and you can draw borders and you have different options on the styles through it. So you can then change how thick and everything you want on your border too. So if I click off it too, now you can kind of see that line that goes around it. And a lot of this is for visual, maybe helping as you're working through it or when you're printing it off. Because if you print it off, these cells don't show up. These are blank. You need to add borders and everything. If you're printing it off and you wanted the outline around certain things, make sure you add your borders and then your colors. And then it's just easier to look at a spreadsheet, especially when printing off and finding different areas. The other thing you can do, if you notice the styles right over here. So if I click on this and I want this whole row in a certain way. So if I click down, maybe I want a certain heading on this, and you can see right here, it will add the heading to it. And then it's adjust in a hurry. So you can use these styles to quickly adjust on these too. All right, so we have some titles here. I'm just going to take a moment and enter in some data. So rather than watching, I'll just stop and I will get back when I enter in a bunch more. So I've entered in some of my data from a website that I have on the top 10 grossing movies of all time. You can see there's a little bit more formatting to do now. A different way to format, and I've already showed you the changing the width of this here. But what you could do is another way, and I'm going to make sure this whole column is selected, so I apply this. Notice that we have wrap text. When I click on wrap text, what it does is it wraps the text in that cell, so it goes to a new line within it, so I can read everything without changing the width to it. So if you just wanted to kind of, it creates, you can see it did widen everything through here, but this just makes it so if you don't want a super wide cell, you could just wrap the text instead. So the next thing I want to do with this, I kind of want to add a main title here, and I can insert rows. So I can insert more rows even after I have something all set up like this. So I'm just going to right click on this and I'm going to go to insert here. So I selected the whole row and then I'm going to hit insert. Notice now everything kind of moved down and I have a brand new row to it. So I'm going to write down, give us a title here, and I'll say top grossing movies of all time here. Okay, so I have a title of this, but this title would be nice if it was kind of centered on top of this here. But I have all these cells. So this is an A1 and this stretches all the way over to G1. So what I can do with this now is if I select the cells all the way to G here, and then I go and hit merge and center, notice now it took all those cells and made it one cell, kind of merged them all together and then centered that title for me. So, and again, I can go through here and I can, maybe I'll just add a style to this. I'll call it heading 1, and now I have a title to it like so. So I made a little bit of more formatting. So I've wrapped my text, I added a title and merged it. Now what I'm going to do is, these are in dollars right through here. So these are in billions of dollars. I just used the abbreviated part, just like I took off the internet, but these are in billions of dollars. Now I could highlight multiple rows and apply something, but in this case, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do down here yet, I'm just going to select the area with the money in it. And notice right here, we have a dollar symbol. And if I click it, it automatically puts it into a dollar format here and gives me the decimals just like the currency. Now I can pick different currencies here also. So you can see I could switch from US, Canada, United Kingdom, and so on, and it will make the adjustments to those dollars on it. So how does this look if I was printing it? And I'm going to show you right here. And something I want you to point out, notice that this dotted line that goes through right here, that is the print line of the page, the current settings and everything. So everything within, if it's within this dotted perforated line right here, it should be fine to print. I just noticed this ranking, I don't need this whole thing this wide for those small numbers, so I'm just going to change it. You can see now I would have a little bit more room. If I go over to my file here and I'm just going to click on print, it gives me a preview here what it would look like when I print it. Notice that the cells don't come up. The style that I picked did come up through here, so it's nice to have that style to break things up. If I wanted everything in more of a cell format, if I was highlighting everything through here, so I just dragged my mouse down, I could go up and choose, maybe I wanted those borders around everything, I could pick and choose. I'm just going to go to all borders to make this quick. And now if I go back to my file and my print, you can see how it's adjusted. So if I was just printing now to my printer, I can adjust this. And this goes the same thing if you wanted color in certain parts. So maybe I wanted this ranking colored here, I could pick a certain cell. Maybe if I wanted this orange right here, and I could bold my numbers on this one. And remember, you can center just like in Word and everything. I could, if I wanted everything centered in here, I could highlight everything and center to adjust to that way. So those are some more just basic formatting here, and if you wanted to print what you had so far, you can always check to see under the print what things would look like now to get everything kind of looking very well, because it just makes things so much easier to analyze the data when if you're printing it and showing it to somebody, they'll be able to find things very, very quickly. Okay, so let's start now with what makes Excel powerful, and that's formulas. So formulas are, of course, an equation, but it's when you're taking a cell, because if the cell changes, the formula will change. So let's go ahead. Here's an example. If I was just clicking here, and you always need to start a formula with an equal sign. So if I hit equals, and I'm going to choose a cell. So actually, I could use a number here. So if I go equals 2, and I'll say times 2, and I'm just going to hit enter, and I get 4. So I could use Excel like a calculator. You may see 4 here, but that's actually not what's in this cell. Now look at the 4, and now look up top here. You can see what actually is in this one. So there's a formula here, equals 2 times 2, even though there's 4 over here. So if you wanted to solve something really quickly in Excel, just put the equal sign in and then write the formula after that. Now if I click on these cells, you can see it's just a number, but this is a formula here. So sometimes you might need to look in this spot right up here to see the formula inside. This is the formula bar. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. So let's apply a formula now to our spreadsheet that we have over here. So let's say I wanted to know the percentage of domestic versus worldwide. So I want to put it right after domestic here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this F row, right click, and hit insert. Now this is going to give me, I said row, I meant column. This is going to insert another column right here, right beside here. So now I'm going to enter in the information here, but I want an equation. So the first thing I said, you always start with in an equation. I just double clicked in here. I could write it in the formula bar too. I give it an equal sign. So I start with an equal. And now this is the powerful part. So if I click on domestic, I want to take whatever's in E3, and then the divide sign is, so I'm going to put the divide sign is this one right here through here. So I want to divide E3 by D3. I'm going to hit enter. And notice that it went to 27 cents, but that's because I'd formatted it earlier with dollar signs, and I don't want dollar signs on this one. I want a percent. So if I go click on this one, notice I have a percent symbol right up here, and I can click it, and it's 27%. Maybe you want more accurate and different percentages. Notice that I talked about this little button before. I could add, I'll go to 2 decimal places, and I can adjust it a little bit more if you want that little bit more exactness. Now here's the great part with Excel. So if I click in this cell, so I could go through and go down and do every single one, and it would work out fine. But the formula that I gave, E3 divide, you can see if I click on this cell, here's the formula. It's saying divide E3 by D3. Now, if I click on this, right here in the bottom right hand corner, notice I get, if I hover over in this, I have this little square. This is kind of a copy the cell down. I'm going to drag it down, and I want to copy it all the way down. Look what it just did for me. It did the form. So now as I click on each one, now it's E4 divided by D4. E5 divided by E5 divided by D5. It copies all the way down. I didn't have to spend time. I just made that one cell in the way I wanted it. It knows when I dragged that down and copied everything to adjust it to the side. So let's do this again with the overseas. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to right click, insert another column. It goes to the left here. I'm going to make a formula here. So I'm going to hit my equals. I'm going to click on my overseas, and then I'm going to hit my divide sign here, and then I'm going to click on my worldwide, hit enter. Again, didn't want money. I'm going to hit my percentage, make an adjustment here back to my 2 percentages, grab this little handle, get that little black cross right here, and drag it down. And I get all these percentages that fill in automatically. So that is a power of a formula and copying it through using a percent symbol. You can do it in so many, once you have your numbers in, you can just set up these formulas and it'll make it so easy. Now, why are they so great too? Let's say there was an error in something, or this changes, or you were updating it the next year. So if this domestic number changed, now let's say if I changed it to 900, I'll add 900, so I'll make it larger. Notice that this number changed automatically because it's connected to the cell. And so it knows how to adjust automatically to it. And now this is the power of spreadsheets and how it works so well in Excel. So you can play around with some, this is just the beginner's one, so there's so much more you can do with formulas, and there's more adjustments, but that's for a different tutorial. But try some basic formulas in your spreadsheet to see how it works and how it can save you some time. Now, but let's now go look at some of the functions that even can save you some even more time. Here's a tip before I get into some more formulas and functions here. And I'm going to zoom up to show you this tip here. So I'm going to try to zoom up, and I'm going to move over all the way to the left. Notice now we have a little bit of the, actually I'm going to zoom up a little bit more here. And notice now we have some of the last few cells we can't see. So a handy feature, if I look under the view here, is freeze pane. So let's say if I wanted to be all the way, I wanted to be able to kind of look at the rank and then look at the numbers over here, but I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the right spot. If I go ahead and click on freeze pane here, you can see I can freeze panes, top row, first column. Well, I want to freeze this column here. Now you might have a different spreadsheet set up for a different purpose, but if I click on it, Now, if I was going over, notice it stays in that ranking, so I can compare things all the time to that rank. And so it just makes it really visually easy to kind of scroll through to whether it be rows or columns, and you can compare it to that first thing. You can turn it off very quickly, like so. I'll just go back out a bit so you can see everything. All right, so let's talk about some more formulas and functions here to kind of save you some time. And Actually, I'll zoom out just a little touch more here. So I'm going to write the word total right here. So total. And so I just showed you a formula with like using it like a calculator where you hit the equal sign and then you could just select the cells that you want. So I could do the same thing. If I wanted to add up all these different ones in the worldwide to get a total amount, I could hit the equal sign and then click on a certain one, hit the plus, go to the next one, hit the plus, go on to the next one, and hit enter. When I'd be all done, it would give me amount. It would work fine. Now, here's a quicker way to do it here. I'm just going to go over to formulas here. And what you can see is auto sum. Another way you can do it, if you're on your home, notice all the way over to your right, you get auto sum right up here. But I'm going to just be in formulas right here. And I'm going to click on auto sum. And it just instantly highlighted all this. I don't really need this cell. It gave me a range. And I talked about ranges earlier on. I'm just going to highlight the exact range I need here. So it says equals sum everything between D3 and D12. So in this case, and you could just write, if you know the different functions, I could hit equal, then write the word sum and then the range, and it's going to take care of the job for me. So if I hit enter, it gives me a sum of everything here. And same thing as I showed you before, you can copy over. You drag that little handle, grab that little square, drag it over, and it just does it for you here. The other thing you can do, I could copy. So if I go right click, copy, and then maybe I want it over here and right click and paste, it will do the same thing for me. So I can put it to a specific spot. And notice when this one is selected right now, it shows me sum G3 to G12, and it did G3 here to all the way to G12. So here's another one. So if I wanted to write average. So if I was typing average, I want to know the average amount. So let's look under recently used here, and usually this one is going to be right up top. So you can see I just did sum, and now I'm going to click on average. What do I want to average? It's asking for a range. Oops, I better click on here just one sec here. I'll go back. I'm going to click. It's going to ask for a range here. And then what's my range? It's going to be this one right here. And I'm going to hit enter. And now I have an average of all these, and the same thing, I can copy it over. I could copy it all the way over. And now it even averaged this, but let's say I didn't want that, and I could change that to a percentage. If I go back to my home, hit percent, and it gives you total amounts right through here. So you can see how quickly, and again, if any of these change, so if this was changing to a larger number and hit enter, everything changes because it's connecting to it. So I'm going to hit undo because that wasn't accurate. So if I go back, you can see under formulas, there are so many in here. Now each of these can be a video by themselves explaining how these all work. And this shows the power of Microsoft Excel here. As you go through, you can look at all the different ones, and it's about understanding how to set your worksheet up. And once everything is set up, and as you understand Microsoft Excel more, it just makes your life a lot easier when you're kind of processing all this data together. But then as one thing changes, it just will fix your percentages or amounts very, very quickly for you. So that's just kind of an introduction to your formulas and functions. If you're starting off basic with some of your spreadsheets, you can use these basic ones, and as you learn more, start looking at some of the other ones. So the last thing I wanted to show you today in this beginner's Microsoft Excel tutorial is how to create a great chart to kind of display your information. So I'm just going to show you how to graph or chart your information really quickly. I'm going to do a different video on this to kind of expand it. But something before we get to that, and I hadn't pointed it out yet, and if you're used to Microsoft information or the products, the tell me up top here. So if you're ever looking for something in here, if you just click in here, so for instance, if I'm looking for charts, if I start typing, anything, it's going to show me the information right up top here. So if you can't find something in the tabs or in the ribbon, just go ahead and start typing what you're looking for, and it's going to find it for you here. Okay, so that's just a handy feature through all the Microsoft products. But so when we put a chart in, that's going to be under the insert here. Now I'm going to show you one way here, just a simple way here today for this beginner's tutorial, and I'm going to just want to chart the title and the worldwide gross on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this right through here. So I'm going to highlight all these different titles here. I'm going to hold down Control. So what holding down Control allows me to do is it allows me to select different parts of it. So I held down Control and I have two different areas highlighted, and that's what I want to chart in here. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on recommended charts here. So you can kind of see it gives you some examples right away here. You could go to all charts if you wanted to look through, if I wanted a pie chart. For this example, I'm just going to go to a normal bar graph. Like I said, I'll do a different video all about graphing to show you more information on it. But I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. And so real quickly, what it did, it took that information that I selected and put it into a graph. Now, it might not be, for me, it's not finished yet because maybe I want to add a title. So if I just double click in here and I can add a title. So if it was top grossing movies here, and I'll just leave it there. And so I've added a title. But what you've noticed here on, if you wanted more things, so if you wanted your axis, if I click on this for chart elements, you can see I have maybe I want a title on the side. So maybe I wanted to, I'll put I'll just say in billions here. And I can just start adjusting, so make sure my charts are coming out exactly the way I want to. So you can look at the different formatting options. If I wanted to change it, you can hover over. So maybe if I like this one a little bit better, I can click on this one, and then it's adjusted. So really simple to start some basic charts on this one. So if I was putting it down below, I can drag this around, and maybe I wanted to see what everything was going to look like when I print it. You can see right now, since I have the chart selected, that's what's going to be printed right here. If I click off of it and go to back to my print, and now it's the whole page right here. And now notice that I might have to make some adjustments because some of the information is off the page. I'm missing some of the years, so maybe I want to make some adjustments to my columns or choose a different type of page to print on. So this is just your kind of your general overview of Microsoft Excel for beginner. Just if you haven't used it before, I'm showing you some of the power behind it. I'm going to have some other videos about Microsoft Excel to maybe help you increase how much you could use and how effectively you could use it. If you did like it today, hit that like button. Give me any ideas what you might like to see in Microsoft Excel tutorial. Just write it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching this week, and I'll see you next time on Teachers Tech.